You're watching CT23 with Eric Parker.
Welcome back. Most large companies pay part of the health insurance premium for their employees, but one Connecticut company pays the full cost. Today, we're talking to the president and CEO of the Lee Company, based in Westbrook. Bill Lee joins us now in Studio A. Bill, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks
Love
for having
having
me.
a Connecticut company here, and before we get into all this health insurance stuff, this is a long historied Connecticut company from right here in Rocky Hill down to the shoreline. Give me a couple sentences. Tell me about this company and your family.
Well, it literally started in my parents' kitchen and dining room, doing drawings on the dining room table and doing test stand things in the kitchen right here in Rocky Hill.
And now it's down in Westbrook and Essex. You have 1,100 employees in Connecticut, and you're in 5 or 6 different countries as well.
That's right. So all production is here in Connecticut.
And then you have sales in other places?
That's right.
Tell me what the Lee Company does. So give us, I know you could probably go on for hours. Some of your formulas you said are on your very cool tie. But what's the basic idea? What does the Lee Company do?
We make very small, mission-critical hydraulic devices that are significantly smaller than anybody else's and are used everywhere where space really matters, like up in aircraft, up in spacecraft, downhole oil drilling, Formula One race cars, automobiles, medical technologies, very broad markets that we sell into.
And we're going to show some video here of some of your facilities and some of what you guys do in the incredibly technical work that you do here in Connecticut. Talk about this health insurance incentive that you provided to employees. You made big news when you did it. And I think a lot of people looked at it and said, Bill, this is crazy. Why are you doing this? So why are you doing it?
Sure. We've always been very generous with all of our employee benefits. We really do treat our employees like family. And every year we would have our medical plan renewal meeting and we would talk about the plan and whatnot. And for the past several years I've been saying, why don't we just do away with the monthly premium? It's not that big anyway, and we could do that and it would really be a big thing. And there were always some reasons why maybe we shouldn't do it, so we didn't. And then during COVID, of course, at the beginning of COVID, we were all going to die. Everyone's going to. So we were very concerned about the medical plan because we're self-insured on that. Now we've come out of COVID, and you really understand just how important good health care is, even to the well, because they can focus on their job, they can get on with their life. They know that if something happens, there's a good insurance company behind them that's not trying to play games, that's actually there to help them. And it just seemed like the right time to go ahead and make that extra step and provide it just totally free to the employees.
And you said it wasn't a huge percentage that they were paying anyway, but what was the reaction when you made that announcement? I mean, it must be a pretty cool thing to hear the boss come in and say that you're taking that over. Were people blown away by it?
It was. So we have a company meeting at the end of December every year. It's our profit sharing meeting where we do the profit sharing checks the day before. We have the all company meeting, and we announced it at that, and it was fun, very fun.
But what would you say to some other bosses who look at this and say, I don't know if I can afford that, I don't know if it's a good idea? I know we're only a few months into the year, but do you think it was a good decision, and how does it help the Lee Company?
I think it's a very good decision, and I want to a hat tip to the employees because they make it possible. They make these impossible little things, and they work hard, whether they're engineering it, making it, selling it, shipping it, whatever their role is. They're the ones that actually make it possible for us to offer this to our employees.
And I know, I was looking at your website, there's a lot of other stuff, profit sharing, scholarships, tuition reimbursement. I told you my friend Jeff works for you. Before I knew anything about the Lee Company, I knew it was a good place to work from him. Is that important in your industry to retain good people, that you have that kind of reputation? In a place like Connecticut doing the work that you do, does that matter?
I think it's important in every industry to really take care of people. We have a long history of having very generous employee benefits. That's part of our plan. Maybe the hourly wage might not be the same as someplace else where the situation's different, but the all-in package is pretty good, and it's been good for us. Like I said, our employees are dedicated, they do great work, and they make it possible.
You said 1,100 employees between Essex and Westbrook here in Connecticut, and I saw in the Hartford Business Journal that you're looking to hire maybe 30 or 40 more this year. Are there workers out there for these technical jobs that you need to fill? Is that a challenge for you?
It's always a challenge. As you know, growing up on the shoreline, you do your population circle that you're drawing from, and half of it's bluefish and seals, and they're hard to get to come to work. So Westbrook is kind of in a hole population-wise in Connecticut. It's between cities and doesn't have a lot of population. But that wasn't the primary driver. The primary driver was the existing employees, just get it off their mind, just even thinking at all about the medical side of things. You
said you're the youngest of the second generation. There's third generation of the Lee family in the company now.
That's right.
Is this something that we should expect, many, many years from now? We'll still be talking about the Lee company in Connecticut?
I certainly hope so. And we actually have some involvement from fourth generation as well.
And what's the future of manufacturing in Connecticut? Can you speak to that? I mean, is this, you were quick to point out when I said the location that you're making everything here. Is that an important distinction, that even in these times you're not offshoring that manufacturing work?
Yes, definitely not offshoring. And I think the future for manufacturing in Connecticut is good. I think there are some things that the state could do to make it better. But the state, I will say, has taken some really good steps with the community colleges, the manufacturing training programs and whatnot that are very helpful. So that's been a shift of late that's been very helpful to us. I think partly that's the need for jobs at EB has really pushed that section of the state to say we got to figure out how to get people ready for those jobs, and we peel them off periodically.
Well, you say there's more they could do. You're on the most watched Sunday show in Connecticut. What else would you like them to do, Mr. Lee?
I think more than anything, get out of our way. That there are something like 2,000 bills that are pending this year in the legislature, and when you read most of them, they make us crazy. Most of them won't get through committees and all that, but last year they did the captive audience bill, so that we can't speak to our employees about anything that might be considered political with no definition. Everything's political these days, so it doesn't help when you're trying to have a team and a group if you can't talk to your team and your group together and just talk about things.
I want to ask you, we have 30 seconds left. If some other boss, some other Connecticut company is watching this today, now that you've been through this, you have a few months under your belt, this has gotten a lot of headlines for you. What would you say to that other boss watching this today?
It's great for us, but I make no bones about other companies. It's up to them. It depends on what their whole situation is, where they are now, and where they might be able to get. But the reaction's been great, the morale has been great, and it's really helped us a lot.
And with 1,100 people in Westbrook and Essex, they're happy to see it, and we appreciate you coming here on the show to tell us about it, and hopefully we'll have you back talking about some of the other innovations from the Lee company.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, Billy, thank you. Stay right there. We'll be back up next in our Sunday Spotlight, a Naugatuck police officer on his efforts to help those suffering in Turkey. We'll have that for you when we come back right after this.